Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Into the Loop podcast. I am your host, Jason Byrne. How's everybody doing? It's been a few weeks since I've done a podcast. Everybody in my family got sick, and yeah, we're just dealing with that. So that's why we haven't actually had a podcast anytime soon, anytime recently. Anyway, that's why I haven't done one. But my videos have been a little bit, just kind of different lately too. But I kind of wanted to, with us being in the Halloween month, the spooky season, I thought it'd be kind of fun to do a themed episode of this podcast where I could talk about movies and music. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 5 movies that embody to me the Halloween spirit, and 5 movies that I love to watch at this time of year, or any time of year really, but they really kind of embody the spirit of the season in the visuals and the style and whatnot. And the same thing with albums. I'm going to give you 5 albums that are just that just fit October and the season of Halloween really well, I think. But but that's coming up. But let's get into some news first, because why not? Because this has kind of been the pattern of the podcast, so I will do some news here. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to start it off with apparently yesterday, Jakey Lee was shot multiple times in Las Vegas. I guess he was walking his dog, and he just caught some crossfire or somebody. I don't know all the details, but it's kind of brutal. It was all over like the guitar forum, the guitar videos and stuff yesterday. Like it was popping up everywhere. But I hope Jakey Lee's doing good. A great guitar player, amazing guitar player actually. And that'll kind of lead into, actually I hear he's recovering, so that's a good thing. Hopefully everything's okay other than that. But it's interesting because I happen to be looking at this because just the other day, a bunch of videos popped up for a new Friedman IR pedal. How Friedman has they've done the Dirty Shirley, they've done the BE 100, these tube based preamp pedals, which are actually kind of cool because it kind of fits what I'm into right now. And Jakey Lee did a signature amp head for Friedman. It was the I forget what it's actually called, but they're calling they put a preamp pedal version of his amp out, tube preamp, and it looks really cool and it sounds amazing. It's called the IRJ. I think it's going to be actually a little bit more expensive than the previous ones, but I'm a big fan of the tone that his amp got. It says Lee embraced the athleticism of the 80s while remaining rooted in the hard rock fundamentals of the 70s. Friedman and Jakey Lee's signature IRJ looks to deliver the guitar tones of 2 great eras in a single pedal amp. This is just really cool, and it sounds incredible. It sounds really, really good. I have a feeling this one's going to be a tricky one to get your hands on at first because, I don't know, there's just a lot of people out there that like Jakey Lee's playing, and he's just an amazing guitar player. Honestly, of all the post Randy Rhoads Ozzy guitarists, of course everyone loves Zakk Wylde, but I mean Zakk Wylde gets a lot of credit, but I honestly think Jakey Lee doesn't get enough credit. I think he was part of an era where the music, there are certain elements of the music that allowed him to show off his talent. And the songs where it works, it really works. Honestly, I find even though Ozzy hates it, for whatever reason, I don't know if he hates it, but he doesn't really like the Ultimate Sin album for some reason. He always kind of pushes that album aside. I think that has less to do with the music and more to do with his drug addiction and alcohol use and his life at the time. I think he associates that album more with his lifestyle at the time and what was going on in his life. So it's not a period he likes to look back on fondly. I think he thinks he looks dumb, which he kind of did look dumb, actually. He looked like somebody's grandma in like a weird sequined outfit back then. But Yeah, so I think he connects the two. So it's hard to really get an honest opinion about what he thought of the music at the time. But honestly, the Ultimate Sin album is one of my favorite Ozzy Osbourne albums. I love that album. I mean, that album has got like Shot in the Dark on it. People know that song. Ultimate Sin, Killer of Giants. I love that song. There's so many great songs on that album. I don't have it in front of me right now, so I can't read off the track list. But well, let's see. Ultimate Sin, Ozzy Osbourne. Ready? Let's get the track list here and talk about this. This is a little off from. This is kind of like an honorable mention for my Halloween. Secret Loser. I love Secret Loser. That's a great album. Look, you got Ultimate Sin, Never Know Why, Never, Killer of Giants, which growing up was one of my favorite Ozzy Osbourne songs. Secret Loser. I mean, Killer of Giants goes along with like say Diary of a Madman as one of those like big songs, Lightning Strikes, Thank God for the Bomb, Secret Loser. It's just a great album, Fool Like You. So fourth studio album, it came out in 1986, and it was I think that's Jakey Lee's claim to fame album with Ozzy. That's the Jakey Lee album. If you want to hear like his playing and his style, that's the album. But regardless, Friedman has been repackaging their amp heads into these like compact preamp pedals. And like I said, it fits with what I'm doing right now, where I've got a regular amp right now. I've got this orange Super Crush 100 with a 212 cabinet, but I also have like a 112 with the the Waza Greenback, and I'm using the orange Pedal Baby into that, and I've been using preamp pedals into that. Like I've been using these TC Ampworks pedals, which I've made some videos about. I have a deluxe one, JCM 800 one, and the best one out of all of those TC pedals is for me, I think, is the Mesa one, like the dual rec. What is it called? It's called the dual rec. Yeah, that one's awesome, and that's kind of like the one I've been using the most. It's just a great tone, and it's just, I mean, literally, I could live with that guitar tone like all day. It's perfect as far as I'm concerned, and it just works. It works for my music because I've been working on a set. I've been rehearsing as well for a set that I'm playing at a Halloween party coming up, and it just fits my music. It works. It's a great tone, and it sounds awesome, and I've been using that one a lot. I mean, I've been debating getting myself an HX Stomp. I have the HX Edit effects here. Funny thing is I had a full Helix at one point, the LT. If I still had it, I'd have all this stuff, and I just would still have it, but I sold it at some point. But yeah, I mean, I love my HX effects, and I kind of want an HX Stomp just because I want to use the preamps into my power amp the way I've been doing things, and I think they would sound really good. But honestly, I've got 3 really great preamp pedals, and they work pretty well. Sometimes they can be a little finicky with pedals, but that's kind of like all digital stuff. Anything that's digital, like, it occasionally gives you issues running pedals into it. You know what I mean? Like if you're running a pedal into it that's not, say, like included as part of its package. That's kind of why I wanted an HX Stomp, because then they would be together. But I'm getting off track here. But the IRJ features 2 channels based on the JEL 100 and the JEL 20. That's the Jakey Lee amps. Let's see. They're released last summer. Those amps are expensive too, but they're great. But they would be all. I actually would. A JEL 20 would be really nice, just to get the 20 watt one. But I'd probably go with the preamp pedal here, just because that kind of fits my setup. With channel 1, you get a British voice clean and plexi style tone, while channel 2 delivers a higher gain JEL sound with an extra percussive punch. That's awesome. And of course, they have multiple foot switches, and there's 3 foot switches on this thing. It's channel 1, channel 2, and there's a boost. And they're pretty straightforward. They actually have an editor too. You can go into the computer and edit some of the parameters. But they're pretty general, straightforward. They come with built-in cab sims, cab IRs. I mean, you can use these things. You can use this as your amp. Run your pedals into it and run it straight to front of house, and this is it, man. This is your amp. They have the IRs built in, or you can run it through like a power amp, like I would like to do. There's a pair of 12 AX7 preamp tubes, which promise to deliver all the tone, response, gain characteristic, and harmonic complexity you expect from a Friedman design. Just really cool stuff. Okay, this is going to be $5.99. I think that's the price of all of them, to be really honest with you. They've all been around $600, but really, really cool, actually. Really cool. Let's see. As far as any more news here that'd be interesting. I read this morning and I was like, what? So Alex Van Halen, I know he's been in the news a little bit lately because I guess he's been saying I guess he has a book coming out. And he kind of said some stuff about David Lee Roth, and that's not really what I want to talk about right now. But he wants to use he reached out to a company called OpenAI, which this kind of plays into my video this week. If you haven't seen it, I did a video about my personal opinion about AI and how it's affecting AI art and AI music and stuff like that. It's just, honestly, it's literally just me sitting there talking the whole time. It's kind of like another podcast, really. It's like 20 minutes of me blabbing about that. So I'm not going to really get into that in this, but I did talk about that this week. And that was kind of like, I don't know, it just felt like I needed to say something. I had something I wanted to say and I did. And nobody watches the videos, but that's okay. Somebody will see it eventually. But anyway, it says the late guitarist's older brother, Alex Van Halen, said that he reached out to OpenAI about potentially analyzing the patterns of how Eddie would have played something to help round out unfinished material. So he wants to use the AI to analyze Eddie's playing and come up with something that Eddie would have come up with, because he has a bunch of unfinished material that he maybe wants to release or wants to finish that had Eddie's playing on it. This is weird. This is just strange. Like, I don't know. He revealed there was quite a bit of unreleased material lying around that he and his late brother had recorded in various stages of completion. He even shared a snippet of the last song he and Eddie ever worked on, appropriately named Unfinished. So that they wanted to do, saying that he hopes Eddie's son Wolfgang, a guitarist, singer, songwriter in his own right, goes through the band's trove of unreleased material at some point himself. I think it would make more sense to get Wolfgang to maybe try to finish up some of his dad's stuff. That I'm cool with. Having AI figure out how to play like Eddie Van Halen and maybe using that as a guideline, I don't know. To me, that just seems like an old guy going, ooh, AI is the new thing. Let's use it. If we do this, it'll make us famous. I don't know. But anyway, you know what? That's enough news for today. Let's get into our main topic because, I don't know, it's a spooky season. Let's talk spooky things. I'll save the movies for last. This is kind of like Effects Loop and SFX Loop mixed in together. I'll do the albums first since we're talking about music, okay? So I've got 5 here, okay? And I'm gonna throw in an honorable mention. These are albums that I can listen to any time of year, but this is stuff I like to listen to during the Halloween season. And of course, I'm a big metal rock guy, so you're gonna get a lot of metal rock stuff. But, you know, I think most of the people listening to this are probably into that style of music anyway, or in general. But my honorable mention for this week is the soundtrack to the movie, which kind of blends in with the movies as well. It's kind of a crossover. The soundtrack to the movie Trick or Treat by the band Fastway. That's just a great metal album, and it has this vibe and feeling about it it's just great for this time of year. So I mean, if you've ever seen the 1986 movie Trick or Treat, Sammy Kerr, Ozzy Osbourne had a cameo in it. Gene Simmons had a cameo in it. Gene Simmons played a character in the movie. If you've ever seen the movie, it's a pretty cool movie. Actually, I mean, it falls apart a little bit towards the end, but it's a great movie. It's called Trick or Treat, and I'm not talking about the Michael Dougherty one. And as a matter of fact, the Michael Dougherty one is not in my list of movies. Not because I don't watch it every single year, but because I figured that's just way too obvious. I mean, my list is kind of obvious to begin with, but like that's really obvious. So I love that movie, Michael Dougherty's Trick or Treat, and I watch it like every year. But yeah, I'm going to try to delve a little deeper than that. But anyway, So yeah, Trick or Treat, Fastway, the soundtrack to Trick or Treat is great. It's perfect for this time of year. You will, if you like that kind of music, you'd like it. Okay, so this is going to be my 5 here, okay? This is the 5 that I just, just went through my stuff and I was like, what really kind of embodies the spirit of this time of year, the spooky, creepy demons, devils, ghosts, witches, all that kind of stuff. All right? Oddly enough, I'm going to go with the first one here. I'm a big Ghost fan, so I'm going to say Ghost. But I'm going to go with the self-titled. Well, it's not self-titled. It's called Opus Eponymous. Ghost's first album, Opus Eponymous, which came out in, I think it's 2001. They don't make it easy to see the years on these albums because it's written in like literally the smallest print. Oh, no, it's not 2001. I'm sorry. 2011. So Ghost's first album was 2011, and it's a great album. Okay, if you're a fan of kind of stripped down, Merciful Fatey style rock, I guess I don't really know how to describe it any other way, but this debut album by Ghost just it embodies that like satanic metal era. You know what I mean? It just has that. I mean, you've got songs like Conclavi Con Dio, Ritual, Elizabeth, Stand By Him, Satan's Prayer, Death Knell, Prime Mover. I mean, they're all good songs. There's good stuff, and it's just a cool kind of rough vibe to this album. Now, Ghost has become a huge band, and they've gone through quite a bit of changes over the years. But this is like raw, early, almost demo-y sounding Ghost. It just has a vibe to it. If you're a fan of the band Ghost, you know the song Ritual, and Ritual was off of this album. And honestly, Ritual and Elizabeth were really great songs off of the album. I mean, Elizabeth is about Elizabeth Bathory. I mean, all the themes of these, it's demonic and evil stuff. I mean, this is probably, along with Infestissimum, the second album, it's probably their most satanic music, I guess, if you want to call it that. In theme, they have a lot of satanic stuff in the music, but I mean, it's kind of nice for this time of year because it gives you that creepy vibe, and it just has it, the organs, the sound, it's all there. I mean, if you're familiar with just modern Ghosts, like the new stuff like Mary on a Cross and newer stuff like Impera and Rats and all that stuff, and you haven't really delved deeper into the catalog, I'd say go back to the very first album and give it a chance, because it's a different experience. I mean, if you like that style of music, it's more akin to like the new wave of British heavy metal, like that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I don't know. I heard it. My buddy Peter Lambert said you should check this band Ghost out, and he had, I heard it a long time ago, long before I even got into Ghost. I mean, when I finally saw them, which was like years later, they were opening for Iron Maiden. It was like I had only really heard the first album. So I was actually really impressed with the set. I was like, wow, this band is awesome. And I went out and I bought like all their other albums that were available up to that time. It was Meliora was like the newest. Well, actually, they had the Square Hammer. They had the Popestar EP had just come out. But yeah, I mean, this first album is awesome. So, okay, let's go on to the next one here, all right? I'm going to do 2 in a row, and I'll do them in order of how they go, because technically they're 2 different bands, but with the same artist. And the only reason why I did that is because, I mean, come on, I have to talk about this. We were just talking about Ghost, so now we're going to talk about Merciful Fate, all right? Melissa. The Merciful Fate album, Melissa, is quite possibly the eeriest, creepiest metal album I think ever recorded. I mean, I don't know. I guess I can't say that because I haven't heard every single metal album. But to me, this is one of the creepiest, darkest, weirdest metal albums ever. I mean, the cover of it's just spooky. It's like this ram's head or something like that. It looks like a bone, skeleton head, and I don't know. It's like one of these pictures where it's like if you look at it in one way, you see one thing. If you look at it in another, you see another. Melissa is what supposedly like King Diamond's skull or something like that he keeps keeps around him. I don't know. He's weird stories, King Diamond. But so this is the original Merciful Fate album, which came out in 1983. It says on here. My eyes are not that good, so see the small print is kind of tough. But 1983, man, you've got what? Evil, Curse of the Pharaohs, Into the Coven, At the Sound of the Demon Bell, Black Funeral, and Satan's Fall, then Melissa. But Satan's Fall is like the song by Merciful Fate. I mean, this is like a 10-minute freaking song with a million changes. This is what makes this band so cool. Like they're just ability to, like, I don't know, just the changes and the time changes and everything in the song. You got Hank Sherman's on this, Michael Denner, right? It's like the two guitar players on this album are Hank Sherman, Michael Denner. Tim Grabber played bass. Where is the band listing? They don't really. It's very interesting on these. Oh, here we go. On drums, you got Kim Ruz, Hank Sherman, lead guitar, King Diamond, of course, vocals, Michael Denner on lead guitar, and Tim Grabber on bass. This is just like good old-fashioned scumbag metal from like the early 80s. This is the stuff, the stuff of Satanic Panic. This is the stuff that, like, they were trying to ban, that they didn't want to have in the United States, because King Diamond's not an American artist. King Diamond is from like Sweden or something like that, like Norwegian. Something like that, right? He's Swedish or something like that. I don't know. He's not from this country, that's for sure. And yeah, it's just, I guess I think this is considered black metal. I think because there's so many different terms as to what's metal and what isn't metal and this and that. But Merciful Fate, Melissa, if you want a creepy Satanic Panic era, like, metal album to listen to around the Halloween season, it's just such a great album. It's such a good album. And it has a vibe all its own. And honestly, I think it's Merciful Fate's best work. They've recorded quite a few albums. But I mean, this album, Melissa, you just can't top it. There's some that are like Don't Break the Oath. But honestly, I love both of those albums, the original Merciful Fate era. But Melissa is it's the standout of the two. It's just, there's just so many great tracks on it. And it just has a sound and a vibe and a weirdness to it. And this will bring us to our next one, my third choice here out of the 5 albums. And it's going to be a King Diamond album because I just talked about King Diamond. But we're talking about King Diamond's solo career now. And I'm going to pick Them because, to me, Them is the kind of embodiment of what got me into King Diamond in the 80s. More like the 90s when I got into King Diamond. But when I first heard King Diamond, I first heard Them. Them was the album I first heard. And it was a horror story, and you could sit down, you could read all the lyrics, and it told the whole story. And yeah, there were satanic elements, but it was more of a horror story than a satanic story. Honestly, Ghost was more satanic than King Diamond at this point. At this point, King Diamond was just doing horror movies as an album, basically making like a horror movie album. And story of Them is great. It's about the grandmother and, you know, the big old house, and King is like a young child, and you know, there's ghosts in the house that talk to the grandmother. It's a possession tale basically. And it all takes place in this big creepy old house up on the hill. And yeah, Them is awesome. Them is such a great album. And this is like 1987, I think, right? 86. I think this is 80s. What does this say? I can't see. I cannot read today. It says 86, I think. Or 88. It's 87, 88. I always think of it as 87, but maybe it's considered 88. I don't know. But yeah, Them is so cool. Them is an awesome album, and it has a vibe and a creepiness about it. The production quality of it is kind of lo-fi. It's got this weird lo-fi kind of thing going on with the production quality, and it's never been really remastered, or I mean, it's been remastered, but it's never been remixed or anything. It's always had that weird vibe to it. I mean, King Diamond did a series of reissues. on CD and vinyl, where he literally took the original CD masters and just re-released them again because he felt that the original CD masters were the better mixes and the better ones, and I firmly believe. So, I mean, this reissue that I'm holding in my hand is literally a repress of the original CD, just in new packaging. And it's awesome. It's such a great album. I mean, you've got like Welcome Home, The Invisible Guest, T, Mother's Getting Weaker, Bye Bye Missy, A Broken Spell, The Accusation Chair, Them, Twilight Symphony. And it has Coming Home at the end, which is the end of the album. There was an extra track called The Phone Call that was added to like a reissue once, but this is just the original version of the album. And what was so great about these King Diamond albums is they had these almost like these awesome like movie poster like covers with like really cool artwork. It's just cool stuff. I mean, at this point, Andy LaRocque was the lead guitarist, and Andy LaRocque is an amazing guitar player. Of course, you got King Diamond. Pete Black played guitar on this album. Hal Patino and Mickey D, man. Mickey D of like freaking the 80s. He was like the dude in the 80s as far as like drummers go. And Mickey D is on this album, and he's freaking amazing. The drumming's amazing. The guitar work is amazing. It's a creepy story. It's you know what? You want to do something cool on Halloween, just grab something to drink, get yourself a snack, sit down in a room, put some creepy lighting on, just listen to this album from beginning to end and read the lyrics. And it's so awesome. It's just a great experience. I used to do that all the time. We used to do that with our friends. We just sit there and listen to the whole album. And it's just a great album. It's a great story. So, all right. So my next choice now is actually technically 2 CDs, 2 separate albums, but it's been released. I'm pretty sure it's been released as one collection at some point in time, and I can't really choose one over the other. How can you talk about like Halloween and horror music without mentioning the Misfits, for God's sakes? I mean, but I'm doing collection, Misfits collection, not the actual albums, but they have quite a few albums, and it's their discography is a little confusing if you try to figure it out, but you can get the majority of the good stuff that they did just by buying Misfits collection 1 and 2. And I can't really separate the two. I feel like they're kind of mixed together. But I mean, the Misfits were all about like horror. I mean, Hollywood Babylon, Horror Business, Teenagers from Mars, Vampire Eye, Turned into a Martian, Skulls, Ghouls Night Out. I mean, come on. Mommy, Can I Go Out and Kill Tonight? Die, Die, My Darling. You get into like Volume 2, which has got some cool stuff on it. We Are 138, Attitude, Cough Cool, Last Caress, which is a song that Metallica covered as well. I mean, a lot of people know the Metallica version. Halloween 1, Halloween 2, Horror Hotel. I mean, yeah, this is just great stuff. Great lo-fi kind of punk rock. Glenn Danzig, the Misfits. And I mean, I love Danzig just as on his own. I mean, you could say the original Danzig album, but I mean, if you want to go deeper, the Misfits is the way to go. And the best way to hear the Misfits around, you know, if you want to just get into their work, is these collection CDs, this collection 1 and 2. It has so much stuff on it. You get all the good stuff, and it's all there, and it's easily accessible. So, I mean, the Misfits had to be mentioned, right? I had to mention the Misfits if I was going to talk about freaking horror music around Halloween. So, all right, and here is my last choice, and it was hard for me to come up with the last one because there's a couple that I could have included, but as I was just going through my stuff, and this just stood right out to me, and I went, oh no, that has to be my last choice. My last choice, which is perfect for Halloween season, okay, is Wasp's self-titled album, the very first Wasp album, which came out in, see, the only thing about reissues that drive me crazy is it's like they make it impossible for you to see what the original year of the album was. It's like they don't want you to know what the original album year was. I'm just gonna say 1982. I think it's 1982. Yeah, because I'm trying to see here. Yeah, 1982. I've got a reissue in my hand that has the original album, and it also has the like a bonus album, the screw like a beast, F like a beast. I'm trying to not swear in my podcasts and my videos just because to keep it, family friendly and whatnot. But the second album is great, man. I'm sorry. It's got a little bonus tracks, which is like an EP. And then you've got the main album here. Original album, 1984. Sorry. It says it right here on the back, right in front of my face. I Want to Be Somebody, Love Machine, The Flame, Bad, School Days, Hellions, Sleeping in the Fire, On Your Knees, Tormentor, The Torture Never Stops. I mean, this band, this is like horror, haunted house music. You know what I mean? Wasp. Their live show was just like craziness with all kinds of like cool, creepy weirdness going on. You just look at the pictures on the back of this. This looks like something that you would see in, a haunted house. Hell, Blackie Lawless himself, the lead singer of Wasp, has been in multiple horror movies, So, yeah, Wasp's first album. I'm not the hugest Wasp fan, but this album is so good. Like I Want to Be Somebody, Love Machine, like those songs are awesome. They're just great songs. And they kind of fit in with like the Trick or Treat soundtrack that I said before. It's that style of metal from like the mid 80s. This weird like misogynistic kind of like satanic metal that was around during that time. Some people find that stuff offensive, but honestly, it's just an awesome album. So that's my 5, okay? So my 5 here for the albums were Ghost, Opus Eponymous. We got Merciful Fate, Melissa, King Diamond, Them, The Misfits, the full collection 1 and 2 as like one album, and Wasp's self-titled album. So you want to listen to some cool heavy metal, some messed up little ditties around in the month of October. Those are ones to check out. All right, so now let's swap it over to the SFX loop, so to speak. Sorry, my throat is really... I got to take a drink here. Now we're going to talk movies. And I got 5 movies here. I'm a huge horror fan. This could have been like a 30-movie list. So cutting this down to 5 movies that I think really embody the tone of October and the spirit of Halloween. All right. And I'm going to tell you this flat out. Trick or Treat is not on this list. I already said it. And Halloween is not on this list because, those are obvious. Yeah, we all know the Halloween movies. Watch them around Halloween. Duh. It makes sense. But I've got 5 here. So the first one that I want to talk about is Night of the Demons, man. Kevin S. Tenney from 1988, I think, is the year of this movie. Yes, 1988. I've been a huge fan of this movie for years. Night of the Demons, it's all about a party. It's about a bunch of kids that get together and go to this old place called Hull House. It's an old beat-up mansion on the hill kind of thing. Old, I think it was an insane asylum or something, or a hospital or something like that. And they go there, and it turns into like the Evil Dead, and basically people get possessed and chased around by demons, and it's a lot of fun. It takes place on Halloween. The color scheme, the vibe of the movie, it's like soaked in Halloween, the whole movie. And it's just a lot of fun. It's a great movie. You've got Linnea Quigley, who's like known for like being like an 80s scream queen. She's in it, Amelia Kincaid plays Angela in this, and she's great. And I love like Night of the Demons 2 as well. And Night of the Demons 3 isn't that bad either. Just these Night of the Demons movies in general are great. But if you're going to watch one, watch the original Night of the Demons from 1988. It is the perfect freaking Halloween season movie. I think it's perfect. I can't say anything else about it being just like a perfect Halloween season movie. Right on the front, the tagline to the movie is Angela is having a party. Jason and Freddy are too scared to come, but you'll have a hell of a time. I love that they actually mentioned Jason and Freddy on it because they were trying to kind of like make Angela a horror icon, which she did in a sense become a sort of a kind of a lower tier, a more of an indie horror icon. But Kevin S. Tenney made some great stuff. He made a movie called Witchboard as well, and I just love his style, the style of his movies. And Night of the Demons to me is like his masterpiece. Though that movie is just great, and it's just a lot of fun, and it's perfect. And yeah, that's worth checking out. I'm gonna veer off a little bit from an actual movie, and we're gonna talk about a documentary because I think this documentary is awesome, and it's not the easiest thing to come across, but you can find it on Amazon Prime. I think it's on Prime like all the time, so it's just always there. It's a documentary called The American Scream, and I'm from New England, so I literally live right next to Fairhaven, Massachusetts, and this movie was filmed in Fairhaven, Mass, and it's all about home haunters, people who set up their you know like who will do like a haunted house outside their house and people come in and stuff like that. And I mean, they don't even charge these people. Like, they just do it for the love of doing it. And it focuses on a couple of guys, a guy named Victor Baritow, and it focuses on Manny Souza and his wife Laurie Souza, and a couple of the Broders was his family. These two guys, this guy who lived with his dad, and they were an older gentleman, and it shows the different aspects of home haunting, and it shows how into doing these haunts and how a big part of the community actually kind of rallies around these people. And it's a big deal. Come Halloween, everybody lines up out in front of their houses. We've gone after seeing the documentary, because funny thing is we lived right next door to it and never really knew this was going on, but we saw the documentary and went, hey, that stuff is right down the street. So on Halloween we went and we found them. We got to know some of the people involved and some of the people that did it. We have friends that have worked with them and stuff like that, and my wife still talks to like Manny Souza and his wife Laurie Souza, and they're great people, and they just keep doing it. Like, every year they do their haunt from their house, and you can go and you can just go through it, and it's great. I mean, it embodies the community spirit of like Halloween, and it's a great documentary, and it really shows you the kind of like determination and work that goes into what these people do. And it's a real documentary. It's good stuff. So I mean, like I said, you can see it on Amazon Prime. I'm pretty sure there was a Blu-ray and a DVD that came out of it. It's kind of hard to find now. That's what I have. When it came out, but it's a great documentary. I don't know what year did this documentary even come out. It's an older documentary. I know that. My eyes cannot see this right now. So yeah, it was a few years back that it came out, but I'd say, I think it's around, 2012, around 2012. That makes sense, because that was the year that I made my movie Hometown, and that was when I found out about this as well. And I met Victor Baritow, and because see, the guy, one of the main guys they focus on, Victor Baritow, in this, he actually did a something called Ghoulie Manor, which was at one of the local malls. It was its own separate thing, but it was really awesome. It was this really cool haunted house that you could go to, and it was just this big, elaborate. The details were amazing. It was a really good like haunted house that you could go to for Halloween. And he started as a home haunter, and then he developed some of it. And they kind of almost tells the story of that in American Scream. It's a really good documentary. But it's a great thing to watch around this time of year, because it is literally about the spirit of Halloween, 100%. So, all right, let's go down a little bit more of an indie trail here. A movie that I love this just has a great vibe to it. It's a movie called House of the Devil by a filmmaker named Ty West. Now, this is a little bit of a slow burn, but this does it has that Halloween-y, like Satanic Panic kind of vibe to it, to the whole movie. And it's just a really, really cool, stylized. It says, during the 80s, over 70% of American adults believed in the existence of abusive satanic cults. This film is based on true and unexplained events. Well, yeah, no, there's nothing, but it's based on the idea of that time. And this is just a great movie. Ty West is known now. He's kind of like his more recent movies. He made a movie called X. He made a movie called Pearl. He just made a movie called Maxine. It's like this trilogy, which those are great movies too. But this was kind of like, this wasn't his first movie, but this was the first movie that he made that kind of got, I think it's his second movie really, and it's the movie that got him attention and what made people kind of go, hey, this guy's really cool. And it just, I mean, Dee Wallace is in it, Mary Warrenoff is in it, Tom Noonan from Manhunter is in it. Like, it's just, it's got a really cool movie. Jocelyn Donahue is the lead actress, and she's really awesome in it. The whole thing just has this. All right, I'll read you the description on the back. So it says, desperate for quick cash, college sophomore Samantha Hughes, breakout performance by Jocelyn Donahue, takes a babysitting job in an isolated mansion on the creepy Ullman family. Ignoring the warnings from her best friend, Samantha has no idea that a nightmare of unspeakable fear and torment awaits her within these walls. And it just, things get crazy. It just gets really crazy, and it's really just about this girl. She's supposed to be like babysitting this old woman in her room, and she never really sees the old woman because she's not supposed to bother her. So she just stays in the house the whole time, and it's just basically this girl hanging out in the house, like, and it's just a creepy vibe, and it gets crazy towards the end, and it has the feel of like classic horror movies like Rosemary's Baby and stuff like that. Like, it just has that vibe. Okay, it's a cool movie. House of the Devil. What did I say? What did I say the year on this one? I don't think I said the year on this one, did I? It came out in 2009, and it's a great movie. It's classic. It's indie. It feels like an old school horror movie. It has the vibe and style and look of like a late 70s, early 80s horror movie, or early 80s horror movie. I don't think if you like movies like Late Night with the Devil, like that newer movie, like this is kind of in that same type of retro horror movie style vibe. So that's really cool. So I got two more here. Let's go. Let's keep moving with this thing. This one is a Halloween classic, and if you're unaware of it, you need to watch it. Pumpkinhead is classic, and if you're going to watch a movie around October, watch Pumpkinhead, because, I mean, come on, Pumpkinhead, for Christ's sake, the name of it. It was directed by Stan Winston, okay? This movie came out in 1988 as well. A lot of 88. It seems like a lot of movies and music I'm picking are around 1988, oddly enough. Just a good year for that kind of stuff, I guess. Pumpkinhead is awesome. Pumpkinhead is basically about, it's got Lance Henriksen in it. He's the main character. Him and his son live out in the middle of this like dusty old town, and something bad happens to his son, and he finds out that there's this old woman that can bring his son back to life, but to help, no, actually, it's not to bring his son back to life. She's to get revenge on the people that hurt his son. So he goes to the old lady, and she's an old witch, and she summons Pumpkinhead. But there's like a trick to Pumpkinhead. He's like this demon that comes out, this big monster that comes to get revenge for you, but in the end, it kind of takes your soul, sort of, so to speak. It kind of just gave away the whole movie. But regardless, the vibe of this movie, the style of the movie, the look of the movie, it's another one of these Halloween-themed movies that, I mean, everything, pumpkins, the lighting, it just has that look. It looks like something you'd see in a haunted house, you know? It's classic for that reason. And honestly, I think if you're going to get anything out of this list that I give you for movies, if you're going to watch any two movies out of this list, watch Pumpkinhead and Night of the Demons, and you're good to go for the whole month of October, because those two movies, they just scream Halloween. They scream October. They scream fall. Like New England fall. It's awesome. But yeah, Pumpkinhead is awesome. It's a great movie. It's a monster movie. It's got cool effects. It's a Fangoria movie, you know, from back of the day. It's one of those type of movies that like Fangoria covered like crazy. And Stan Winston did effects for Alien and all kinds of stuff like that. So this was like, I don't think he made any other movies. I think this is the only movie he ever directed, but he might have made another one. I'm not sure. But all I know is he made a really cool movie with Pumpkinhead. Maybe he just, he did it once and that was enough for him. But I mean, he just made a classic, and the movie's has been a classic since like the 90s when I originally saw it. So it came out in like 88. I think I saw it not that long after it came out. So, all right. For the last one I got here, my fifth movie, we're going to go with something kind of fun, silly, just fun, like a good fun movie. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which is great because, I mean, you see these guys everywhere. They're like kind of like, they're Halloween decorations everywhere you go, basically. So this kind of, it fits into that vibe. And this movie is not, I think this is another one from, this is 1988 as well. Seriously. I cannot see a year on here. This is 1988. What is it with 1988? 1988 was like the freaking year for Halloween themed movies, man. Jesus. Killer Clowns from Outer Space is just a lot of fun. It's a silly movie. I mean, the title tells you everything, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. But it has like this weird comic bent to it where it feels like an old school, like kind of like a 50s, like The Blob style movie, like the style of the movie. It's almost like that's what they were going for, to make something like an old 50s horror film, you know? The monsters are in your town and we have to take care of the monsters and oh my God. But I mean, you've got like silly characters throughout. Like the characters are goofy and I mean, the clowns are ridiculous. I mean, they're going around with guns turning people into big cotton candy balls, basically. Like it's not, some people find the clowns themselves scary, you know, but I don't find anything scary about it. My daughter has been watching this movie for years. She loved this movie when she was a kid. Like she's 9 now and she loved it when she was like 6. So like it's just a cool movie. I mean, they're like popcorn monsters and like it. If you've never seen Killer Clowns from Outer Space and you like watching campy, kitschy type movies, you know, almost like a wink, wink at the camera type thing, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, man. Just check it out. So there you have it. There's my 5 movies which was Night of the Demons, The American Scream, what was the other one? House of the Devil, Pumpkinhead, and Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So if you listen to all that music and watch those movies, you'll have a great Halloween, a great October. So yeah. So we're done with that now. I guess what we can do is I usually do some comments here. Let's go and look at comments from people who go to my YouTube page, which seems to be less and less lately. Honestly, I mean, I don't know who's listening to this, but I will say I get a lot of views from people, but there's a lot of people that aren't subscribing, and it would be great if you check out my stuff, click that subscribe button. I hate to do the click the subscribe button and like my videos, but I mean that stuff really helps with the YouTube algorithm, and it helps get the videos out there. So if you want other people to see my videos, if you like them and you'd like to share them and you want other people to know about them, liking and subscribing actually tells YouTube, hey, promote this video. It's just the way that works, you know. So let's go to my YouTube studio here and let's see. I appreciate everybody though that watches and listens to my stuff and checks out my videos, and it's awesome. I'm very thankful that anybody shows any interest in this stuff at all, because let's just put it that way. All right, let's go to the comments here. Okay. Now, I haven't had a chance to respond to most of these comments lately because, like I said, I've been sick. I've been kind of busy. So I'll just go down the line here and we'll see if this is, because there's some new stuff that I haven't even replied to. So somebody named at Keith Avis, this is 23 hours ago, he commented on a video that I made a while back. It was a Boss Next Tone special. Is it really that special? And he wrote, I'm a tube amp purist at heart. I purchased a Boss Next Tone special because everyone was ranting about how close it came to tube amps. My experience is that it isn't even remotely true. It's a decent solid state amp, but can't hold a candle to a good tube amp. All right. Now, I don't 100% agree with what he says, but I do agree with it to a certain degree. I don't have that amp. I kept that amp for a very short period of time, because I could not deal with the speaker. Like it has this like Alnico Blue speaker that just to me just made the amp sound like garbage. Like it was awful fizzy mess. And the thing about it is you think to yourself, well, usually with that type of an amp, if you crank it up loud, it's like the fizziness goes away. But it doesn't. It's still fizzy and awful sounding. Maybe once the speaker broke in, which I heard takes a very long time. I went through two of them. Like I the first one I thought was literally broken. I thought the speaker was damaged. Then I got the next one and it sounded the same. And I'm like, well, this is what the amp is supposed to sound like. I would say I've said this before, that if you were to get one of these Boss Next Tone amps, I wouldn't go with the special. I'd go with the Artist because it has a different speaker in it. And I think that the speaker that they put in the Artist actually works better for the sound of this particular amp. But honestly, I wasn't. It has really good cleans for a solid state, like digital solid state hybrid type thing. It has a great clean channel. And because it has this like thing where you can choose between like tubes, sort of like EL84s, 6V6, 6L6, you can choose that on the dial. There aren't tubes in it. It's all emulation. But you can really dial in your tone, and you can get a nice tone out of it. And yeah, so I have a hard time recommending that particular amp if somebody was to buy one, but I would definitely say if you're interested, I would go with the Artist, not the Special, because it has a better speaker. Does it sound like a tube amp? It's similar. It has tube amp qualities. I think the Katanas are actually better. If I was to suggest an amp to somebody, if they were going to go that route, I would go with the Katana over the other ones. I mean, because I loved my Katana, my Katana Artist. The head and cap, I thought it was great. I mean, I don't have it anymore, but that's just me with my own obsessive compulsive crap. But I mean, that amp is great. I would gladly take a Katana Artist back again and be happy with it. It's just all this digital stuff. I feel like I need a solid state or a tube or some kind of backup to all these digital stuff, because I mean, it just craps out, then you have nothing. You know what I mean? So it's good to have at least a backup. But I'm all fine with like preamp pedals and a power amp and stuff like that. That's great. It sounds awesome. It's like old school rack mount gear, you know? It's the same difference. But I feel like I need to have something real as well. You know, it's weird to say real, but everything is all emulation nowadays. So it's like I want something real, you know. Okay, so at Erniel Amprel 6765 one day ago, he responded to a little clip that I made. JC40 there in stereo. I played this Poltergeist theme on guitar, and it sounded pretty cool actually. It's just this little short video that I made that I put up. He writes, I hear blue sky type reverb trails. I've never owned a Blue Sky. I'm not sure what I would have used at the time. I think I had a Boss DD8, and I probably used something on there, maybe like a shimmer or something like that had the shimmery trails to it. Yeah. That I'm pretty sure that's what I used, and it was going through the JC40 because the whole idea was the JC. I missed the JC40. I got to tell you, I don't have a JC40 again, and I kind of want one. I want one back. I don't need it. The thing is, I have no need for it. I don't need it, but I want one, you know. But yeah, so yeah, that's that. Another one here, a couple days ago, 7 days ago, at Lylefish-Yo8UR. He's responding on my Epiphone ES335 Pro video. He's like, I got one 4 years ago from Sweetwater, came set up great, and it has the coil splitting, which honestly I don't use much. All the hardware is fine. I haven't replaced the thing. This is my favorite axe of all. I got to tell you, like, and I've said this many times. I've probably said this multiple times already. That Epiphone ES335 Pro that I got, that I've had for years, that is a rock solid guitar. That guitar is just staying together, man. It's like I have other Epiphones and other Squires. I mean, they're developing little issues. Like my Telecaster, my my custom Telecaster, my Squier Classic Vibe 60s, which I love that guitar. I play it all the time. It's got a pot that's going out. The volume pot is wacky on it. And I ordered some new ones. I have to solder in a new pot, which I've never done before, but I'm gonna do it, and it can't be that complicated. I can't screw it up that badly. I mean, it's something that if I screw it up, I can just fix it or have somebody else fix it. But yeah, that my SG, which I love and I play constantly. I have the black SG. That's like my favorite guitar. I play that guitar, but that guitar has tuning and intonation issues sometimes. Like it's hard to keep it perfectly in tune. But once you get new strings on it and you set it up, it stays good for a while. So right now, I think the problem with that is it has a very, very, very thin neck that flexes a lot. So it's almost hard to tune because you have to tune it, get your hand off the neck, and then hit the string and make sure that the string is in tune. Because as soon as you touch that neck, it flexes it, and it shows that it's out of tune. So it's tricky to get it in tune. Once you get it in tune, it stays in tune pretty well for a while. I mean, I've been practicing my set with that because that's the guitar I'm going to play on Halloween, and it's just like it stays in tune, man. I can play the whole set and I don't even have to touch it. But yeah, it's weird like that though. Somebody wrote at Steve Bell 4763 about my Roland JC40. Can it be your only amp? Which is the very first video I ever made. Great review. You've helped me make my decision between the 40 and 120. Good on you, sir. Honestly, I want a 120 because I'm crazy. I have no need for anything that loud or that big. None whatsoever. But I think JC40 is the sweet spot. I think that's the sweet spot. The fact that it's actually real stereo, and there's just something about that particular amp that if you're looking at the Roland JC series, I think the JC40 is kind of perfect for anybody. It's sort of perfect. The only thing I don't like about it is it's more digital than it lets on. It's almost like a katana in a sense. But I don't really know how much digital and how much analog it actually is. It's tricky. It's to tell I know there's a chip in it for, I think the chip is really, I think the clean sound is solid state. It's straight up solid state. But the distortion and the chorus and the reverb and all that stuff is digital. Not that it matters because it sounds amazing. It's like, why should I care? But sometimes people care about that, and sometimes I care about that. I try not to, but yeah. I don't have any Gretches anymore. A lot of people been responding on my Gretsch Electromatic video and stuff like that. I mean, I love those guitars. Those are great guitars. Just, you know what? Gretches to me are like an acoustic guitar. Okay. I get all excited about having an acoustic guitar. I play it for like 3 weeks. I put it on a rack or in a case, and I never touch the damn thing afterwards. Same thing with the Gretsch. I play it, put it away, start playing a different guitar, and it sits there. And by the time I pick it up again, the strings are all nasty, and I have to restring it and go through the whole process. And so, yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to get any other Gretches. Although I love the look of Gretches, I'd like to have a real Falcon. If I was to get a Gretsch and I got a real white Falcon, that would be pretty cool. Rather than the Electromatics, I'd almost want a real Falcon. Like to say, I don't have a Les Paul anymore, and I always said, if I get a Les Paul, I don't want an Epiphone anymore. I want a Gibson. Like if I buy another Les Paul, it's going to be a Gibson. I'm not buying another Epiphone Les Paul. They're good guitars. I'm not saying they're bad guitars at all. It's just like I want the real deal. If I'm going to do it, I'll get the real deal. The SG doesn't bother me so much because for some reason the SG does, even though it's Epiphone, it feels just as good as the real thing to me. Les Pauls are tricky, you know. It's tricky with a Les Paul. Plus, they're so damn heavy. I don't know. I'm having issues with my back as I get older, and like I just can't deal with the weight of a Les Paul anymore. I know it sounds crazy. Oh wait, sit down and play. Like, you know what? I can't play a set with a Les Paul strung around my neck for a whole set. I just can't do it. It's too heavy. It just messes my back up. And yeah, So I've been playing the SG a lot, and I really like it because it's super light. It stays in tune, and plus I just like the way it sounds. It sounds great. Honestly, I love the sound of the SG. The classic like 60s SG sound, you know? But yeah. Okay, so you know what? Let's see. What do we got here? At Richard Bowling TK4PJ, this was a couple weeks ago. He was commenting on the Fender Mustang LT25, the surf green one that I have, which I don't have that anymore. I don't have a lot of this stuff because I sell so much stuff. But I mean, I don't get any money or get anything for free for doing this. Like, this isn't like, I'm not one of those type of YouTubers. Like, everything I have to buy myself. Basically put myself in debt for. So a lot of stuff I'll buy and then I'll trade just to get something else. So it's like a kind of a constant revolving door, you know? But he wrote, I'm impressed as we sure didn't have stuff that sounded near this good at bargain prices back in the late 90s. That is so true, man. And it's interesting that he says the late 90s because that was my era as well. Me being like, you know, in my almost 50, I'm 49. My major era for like music and playing and stuff was the 90s. And it is so true. We didn't have anything like this. Well, we had PV Bandits. And everyone makes a big deal about the PV Bandit now, but I got to tell you the God's honest truth. I've gone back and forth. I've said, oh, it'd be cool to have a Bandit again. And then I watch videos about him and I go, yeah, that's what I didn't like about that amp. That's why I don't have a PV Bandit still. It's great if you're looking for a clean channel. Sorry. But the distortion is kind of horrible. And they just, yeah, it's just, I don't know. That's what we had. That's what it was. If you went to a freaking store to buy a guitar amp back in the 90s, it was Marshalls, crates, PVs. That's what was there. That's what you found. You could find some Fenders. There were some solid state Fenders around during that time that were, because I had a 212 chorus, solid state chorus, this big monster of an amp that was good. It sounded pretty decent. It didn't have the best distortion in it. And see, at that time, I just needed something to have that had a good distortion and had good clean channel, but it was so loud because it was like a twin, basically. But it was loud, yeah. And yeah, a lot of just random comments, nothing major, but I think we're going to call it quits for today. I think I did a pretty good episode here, and I hope you got something out of it. And I got more content coming. So yeah, anyway, if you like my stuff, like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and I will talk to you next time. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and happy Halloween, folks. Take care.